Uh, Let us look at some of the real exam questions. So these exam questions, some of these you will get in the exam. These are very real questions. So let's start delving into the details of these questions. Now in the exam, you will see different categories of questions. So one of the categories is this. I'm going to cover category by category. So first category is where you will see questions which are similar in nature, like that. You will have to select yes or no, though this is a single question, but if you see there are three questions in one clubbed together in one question. So I have a lot of 25 questions which are similar in nature, and if you multiply by 3, that will amount to 75 questions, and some of these will definitely come in the exam. So this question category is related to PaaS. This is platform as a service. As you know, we have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, okay, and we have software as a service. So this question is on PaaS. So PaaS solution that hosts web apps in Azure provides full control of the operating systems. So using PaaS, you can never get a full control of the OS. You can only get a full control uh, in the IaaS, infrastructure as a service, IaaS. So the answer for this one is no. The second question states PaaS solution that hosts web apps in Azure provides the ability to scale the platform automatically. Think about it. See, one of the main advantages of cloud is auto scaling. So this is something which gives you auto scaling, and this is the right answer. It is yes. Let's look at the third question. A PaaS solution that hosts web apps in Azure provides professional development services to continuously add features to custom applications. Yes, it because if you have a web app, say a website, and you want to add new features to it, you can keep doing it. Okay, so the answer for this should be yes. Let's see the second question, which is on virtual machine primarily. So the first one says Azure provides flexibility between capital expenditure and operational expenditure. So capex versus opex. So Azure does provide some flexibility if you have infrastructure as a service or PaaS or software as a service. So using these three options, you do get some flexibility to choose one over the other. Then the next one is if you create two Azure virtual machines that use B2S size, each virtual machine will always generate the same monthly cost. Suppose if you have two virtual machines, so the usage of the machines would be very different, because even if the workloads are similar in nature, the usage can be more. If there is some load balancing, so the load on one virtual machine may be more than the other virtual machine. So the answer for this one between yes and no, it should be no. Third one is when an Azure virtual machine is stopped, you continue to pay the storage costs. So this looks true. This is yes, because the underlying storage is still active and it still is holding data. Only if you terminate the virtual machine, then only your underlying data is wiped out. Okay, so for in this case, the answer should be yes. Let's look at another question where which is related to hybrid public and private cloud. So this is the question, and so the first one is to achieve a hybrid cloud model, a company must always migrate to a private cloud. That is not a necessity. Hybrid cloud can be a combination of public cloud and your in-premises. It necessarily need not be a private cloud. So the answer for this is no. A company can extend the capacity of its internal network by using public cloud. Yes, if they have, yeah, they can increase the bandwidth and speed by having the public cloud. And the third one is in the public cloud model, only guest users at your company can access the resources in the cloud. So not only guest users, you can have a public cloud and you can have your own corporate users as well as guest users accessing it. So it's not only for guest users. So this answer looks to be no. Now in the similar like just like the previous question, we have one more question which is similar. Uh, so first one it says is to implement a hybrid cloud model, a company must always migrate to private cloud. This is the same one that we told that is not necessary, but this one is different. A company can extend the computing resources of its internal network by using public cloud. Earlier we had discussed was not computing resources, it was internet resources. So computing resources it can extend. It can use cloud for public cloud for extra storage, etc. This is yes. And in a cloud model, only guest users. This is the same question, and this is no, because not only guest users, your corporate users can also access it. Let's look at this question. So Azure resources, so these questions are from resource group category. So Azure resources can only access other resources in the same resource group, not necessarily. It can be uh, it can be split. So the answer is no, because it can access resources from other resource group also. Let's look at the second one. If you delete a resource group, all resources in the resource group will be deleted. The answer for this is yes. So since it is a group, if you drop the group, all the resources inside the group goes away. A resource group can contain resources from multiple Azure regions. Yes, yes, that is possible. So a resource group can have resources from single region as well as from multiple regions. This again is a resource group related question. So let's look at the question first. So all the Azure resources deployed to a single resource group must share the same Azure region. Not necessarily. You can have a resource group where the resources are from different regions. This is a key. There can be resources from different region in a single resource group. So the answer should be no for this. If you assign a tag to a resource group, all the Azure resources in the resource group are assigned to the same tag. This is no, because each resource will have a separate tag. Tags are used to understand the billing. It is used to segregate the billing based on the tags. So now the resource group can have a different tag, and the resources inside the group can have a different tag. But this is different for permissions. The next question, if you see, if you set the permission at a resource group level, so resource group is the parent and the resources are the child. From a permission standpoint, whatever permissions the parent has, the child would get it cascaded. It will inherit it. Okay, so the answer is yes, because all the permissions that are set at the resource group level, your all the resources inside that group will inherit the same permissions. Now let's look at this question which is related to Azure Advisor. So Azure Advisor primarily why it is used is it gives you advice on like how you can optimize your costs and etc. Okay, so that is the role of an advisor. So basically it is used for advising. Now the first question is the advisor provides recommendations on how to improve security. So advisor never provides recommendations to improve security posture. And the answer is no for this one. The second question says Azure Advisor provides recommendations on how to reduce the cost of running virtual machines. Yes, this is something which the advisor does. It gives you recommendations on the cost aspect and how you can optimize your costs. So this answer should be yes. The third one is Azure Advisor provides recommendations on how to configure the network settings on Azure virtual machines. Advisor is not meant for these purposes, so the answer is no. Advisor primarily it advises on cost optimization. That's the primary use of it. This question is also on the advisor piece. Sorry, not on the advisor piece. So this one is on the storage account. Okay, so the question, there are three questions. The first one says the data that is copied to Azure storage account is maintained automatically in it, at least 3 copies. So this is yes. It maintains multiple copies of the same data. All data that is copied on Azure storage account is backed up automatically to another data center. This is not done automatically. You may have to choose an option to do that, but it is not done automatically. And the third one is an Azure storage account can contain up to 2 terabytes of data and up to 1 million files. Actually, the storage is unlimited. Okay, it is not restricted to 2 terabytes or 1 million files. It is unlimited. The answer is no. Now let's look at this one. All three are pretty generic, not belonging to a single category. So the first one is, if you have Azure resources deployed to every region, you can implement the availability zones in all the regions. You cannot do this. The answer is no. The second one is, only virtual machines that run Windows Server can be created in availability zones. No, you can create even uh, virtual machines on Linux or Ubuntu operating systems as well. So there is no restriction, only for Windows. The third one is, AZs are used to replicate data and applications to multiple regions. So the answer for this is no. Why? Is because AZs are used usually as a fault tolerance failover. So if you have a data center and your data is in two more data centers in the same region, so what will happen is, if one AZ fails, the data would be the one AZ fails, and the system would be diverted to the second AZ. It is not used for replication. It is used as a mechanism for fault tolerance or failover. Here comes the next category, which is on advisor. First question is, advisor can generate a list of Azure virtual machines that are protected by Azure Backup. No, advisor primarily is used to give you recommendations on cost optimization. So this answer should be no. Now, if you implement the security recommendations provided by advisor, your company's secure score will go less. Uh, you cannot use it for security recommendations, and hence the score may not get impacted, positive or negative, whatever. The answer is no. Third is, to maintain Microsoft support, you must implement security recommendations provided by Azure Advisor within 30 days. Uh, it's not needed. There is no link and then no compliance needed for this. Now let's look at this question. The network security group will encrypt all network traffic sent from Azure to internet. So NSGs are used to provide access to IPs. It is never used for encryption. So the answer for this should be no. The third one is, Azure virtual machines that run Windows 2016 can encrypt network traffic sent. No. So just because it's a Windows Server 2016, it will not encrypt it. So this section is on service health. So the first question goes like, uh, if an administrator can view the health of the services deployed to an Azure environment and all the services. So service health, using service health, you can do that. So this one, uh, the service health is not primarily, it is used to monitor the services health of the services. So this is yes. The second one is, whether service health and administrator can create a rule to be alerted if Azure service fails. Yes, you can do that. You can create a rule and you can, uh, if the service fails, you can alert people. That is possible here. And here, can an administrator prevent a service failure from affecting the specific virtual machine? It cannot prevent. If it fails, it fails. It can alert, but it cannot prevent. So this section is on authorization. We have three questions on this. The authorization to access Azure resources can be provided only by Active Directory. Uh, no, it's not only Active Directory, but there is also a service called role-based access system. So using RBAC also you can do it. So the answer is no here. The, the next one says, identity is stored in AD, third-party cloud services, and on-premises Active Directory can be used to access Azure resources. Yes, all three can be used. For example, you may have a different LDAP system So you can use that as well for accessing Azure resources. And you may have an on-premises Active Directory. You can use that as well. So many times people sync the on premises Active Directory with the Azure Active Directory. This is yes. The third one is where Azure has uh, built-in authentication and authorization services that provides secure access to Azure resources. Yes, it has a built-in service in the form of RPAC and Active Directory. Now this section focuses on the accounts. So if your company uses Azure free account, okay, or even if you have a free account, you will only be exposed to a subset of Azure services. That's wrong. If you have an Azure free account, you can access all the services. Plus, initially, we also get some credits, but we can access all the services. Um, so the answer is no here because you can access all the services and not a subset. All Azure free accounts expire after a specific period. Yes, so these will expire, your free account will expire. And it is similar to other cloud systems like AWS, it expires after 12 months. Let's see the third one. You can create up to 10 Azure free accounts by using the same Microsoft account. Uh, this cannot be done. This is a no. If you have an account using that, you cannot create 10 Azure free accounts. Now let's look at subscriptions. The first question is, each Azure subscription can contain multiple account administrators. Yes, this is possible. You can have multiple account administrators for containing this subscription. So each Azure subscription can be managed by using a Microsoft account only. Yes, you need a Azure account or a Microsoft account to manage the subscription. This is yes. And an Azure resource group contains multiple Azure subscriptions. So resource group cannot contain multiple Azure subscriptions. It can contain multiple resources. Now this section is on SLAs. So the first question is, in Azure Active Directory Premium, at least 99.9% availability is guaranteed. Yes. The premium service will have the highest uh, availability requirements fulfilled. So this should be yes. Now let's go to the second one. The second one, it states the service level agreement for Azure Directory Basic is the same as the SLA for the Azure Directory Free. The SLA levels are not the same. The free one will have lesser SLA than the basic ones. So this should be no. Third one says all paying Azure customers can claim a credit if their monthly uptime percentage is below the guaranteed amount in SLA. Yeah, so this is yes, because if it's just like you are a customer, you didn't get the service and you will get the credit. You put an order in Swiggy, and if you don't get the food delivered, you will get a refund. That's a credit back. So this is yes. Now this section is on Azure services. The first question goes like, all Azure services in private preview must be accessed by using a separate Azure portal. It can be accessed using the same Azure portal. You don't need a separate Azure portal for this one. The next question goes like, Azure services in public preview can be used in production environments. Yes, this can be used in production environments because even if you have a public preview, uh, you can use those in production environments. So this should be yes. Third one goes like, Azure services in public preview are subject to a service level agreement. Not necessarily. There is no service level binding or obligation on the public preview, so this should be no. This section covers the Azure support. So the first question is, a standard support plan is included in Azure free account. No, in the Azure free account you get a basic plan, not a standard support plan. So here it is important to understand what are the different types of support plans available in Azure. So if you see this screen, these are the support plans. You have support plans like basic, developer, standard, and professional direct. These are the four uh, plans, support plans. Now, so this answer should be no. Uh, the second one is states a premium support plan can only be purchased by companies that have an enterprise EA. So this is correct. You know, you get a premium support only if you have the enterprise agreement with Azure. This should be yes. The third one says the support for from MSD and forums is only provided to companies that have pay as you go subscription. Not necessarily you can even if you don't have a pay as you go, or if you have a reserved instance subscription, you can still uh, get the support from MSD and forums. Okay. So this question is on the services. For example, the most Azure services are introduced in private preview first before being introduced in public preview and then in the general availability. So this is right. They first introduce as private, then make it public. The second question is Azure services in public preview can be managed only by using CLI. Not only CLI, you can use Cloud Shell and PowerShell as well. So you can access it any ways. The third one is the cost of an Azure service in private preview decreases when the service becomes generally available. So that does not happen. Um the cost does not decrease if it becomes generally available. Uh, this section, so this section is on Azure account. So the first question is an Azure free account has a spending limit. Uh, so yeah, it has a spending limit. Beyond that, it is chargeable. So the answer is yes. So free account is free up to a certain limit. Second one is an Azure free account has a limit for the amount of data that can be uh, uploaded to Azure. So this is also yes, it has a limit. You cannot put monster size data inside Azure with a free account. Uh, and the third one is an Azure free account can contain unlimited number of web apps. So the answer should be no, because in the free account there is nothing unlimited. Even your spending limit is limited, your number of web apps is limited, the amount of data you load is limited. So free account is, nothing comes free in this world. So if somebody is giving you free, it will come with a lot of limitations. And same goes true for any cloud platform. The same is also true for Amazon platforms. Now this section talks about Azure SLA. So the first question is the service level agreement guaranteed uptime for paid Azure services is at least 99.8. This is correct because since you have a paid service, you will get the highest SLA possible. If you are on a basic service, then you will not probably get this percentage of SLA for most of the services or for some of the services. So the answer is yes for this one. Second is companies can increase the service level agreements guaranteed uptime by adding Azure resources to multiple regions. Yes, that is right. You can do that. The more duplication you have, uh, the more your SLA will increase. This should be yes. Now, companies can increase the SLA guaranteed uptime by purchasing multiple subscriptions. Uh, there is no use of buying multiple subscriptions because your SLA will not improve. Buying subscriptions will not help. Multi-region deployment can help. This section talks about storage. So, so if you see this first one, storing 1 terabyte of data in blob storage will always cost the same regardless of the region. So any cloud service, whether it is Azure or Amazon, it is the costs are different in different regions. So for example, the costs in India or Sri Lanka or some Asian countries will be a lot less than the costs in Europe or United States. The answer is no for this. Let's move to the second one. When you use a general purpose V2 Azure storage account, you're only charged for the amount of data that is stored. All read and write operations are free. So the write operations are definitely not free. Okay, if in anything you're reading or writing is not free. Okay, there are uh, compute charges to it for reading and writing. And let's look at the third one, transferring data between Azure storage accounts in different Azure regions is free. So this is also a no. Data storage will attract storage costs on a daily basis. This is not free. So we come to the end of uh, the section of questions which will have a yes or no choice. So we have covered almost most of them, and you will get a lot more similar or if not the same set of questions. It's guarantee that some questions will come from here. It may be similar in nature or it may be exactly the same. Keep practicing, and I would share some more videos of different type of questions.